Good morning once again, book lovers of the internet. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I am Book Nerd 822, and in this video, I am going to be reacting to a 5-minute video called Why You Are Missing Out Not Reading 800 plus page books, The Psychology of Storytelling. Now, I am not a person who really enjoys long books. I feel as though if an author is capable of telling a story well with as little words as possible, then the job has been accomplished. But I would like to listen to what this guy has to say. Peter Olszewski, I think. Olszewski. Do correct me in the comment section. And yeah, I mean, he published this a day ago yesterday. 5.6k views already. He has 13.5k subscribers. I am going to become one of them simply because he seems like an interesting guy to listen to. And the top comment is, well, the first comment which pops up is your explanation of feeling like you lived with the character rather than through them is exactly how I felt when reading Game of Thrones. So, let us take a look, and I'll be reacting to what he has to say every couple of seconds, basically.
Over a year ago, when I was reading Days at the Morisaki bookstore, and I made a video about
That one I read, by the way. I also read the sequel, More Days at the Morisaki Bookstore or Bookshop by the same author. Take a look at the videos on my channel.
reading translated works, I stated
I'm not a huge fan of 800 plus page books. In my opinion, in most books, if you can't say it in 350 pages or less, you'll most likely lose my attention.
By the way, Days at the Morisaki bookstore is a fantastic book, and I definitely recommend that anyone who hasn't read it, read it because you can read it.
I definitely feel the same way about what he just said about 350 pages. Usually going over kind of removes the whole point, unless it's a series, in which case you should still split it up into several books if they will be longer than 350 pages anyway.
In a day, and it's super fun and cozy. But oh my, has my opinion on duration of books changed. I have become enamored with the idea of longer books. The feeling you get when you finish them is like no other. Now, I'm not strictly talking about 1,000 page books, but just longer stories in general. This can be a 800 plus page book or even a book series or both. Now, don't get me wrong, some of my favorite books are still 300-page literary fiction books, for instance.
I mean, fair enough, the point he makes about the satisfaction, the serotonin, it's completely valid, but I still don't understand his appreciation of longer books. I suppose we have 4 minutes left to find out.
Murakami's Norwegian Woods, and months after has still been lingering in my mind. But it still has a different feeling. With longer books or series, when done right, which, when done right, is a key component because just because something is longer in duration doesn't mean that it's better or will have the same emotional resonance. And this completely changes the feeling because when done right, it ends up feeling like you lived with the characters instead of through them. Now, I don't want to say you have to read longer.
That is true enough as well, feeling as though you can empathize with the characters, understand the world development better. The one thing which I fear most about long books nowadays is the problem with authors using artificial intelligence to an extreme where books tend to have too many words and the story doesn't really resonate with any reader any longer. So, yeah, let's listen to him a bit more.
Books and that they are better. I was more interested in the psychological difference between experiencing a shorter format story versus a longer format story. This is an idea that transcends to other mediums with film versus television shows. In one of the alternatives, you end up spending way more time in the world and with its characters. Another medium that I think shows the experience of taking in a longer story is video games, where it blurs.
As far as the argument between TV series and movies go, I tend to enjoy TV series more simply because the concept of immersion is there. So, in that sense, I completely understand what this guy is trying to say. But at the same time, I feel as though a lot of the mastery behind having a world of your own lies within conveying your message. Not, Depends on what you have in mind, what you wish to read. I mean, if you want to read something for the sake of learning, then go for a shorter book or a shorter medium, I would say. If you are going into something with the purpose to immerse yourself fully, to feel as though you are escaping from the world, then something which is longer will probably suit you better. I don't think I have a preference, especially since I am a mood reader myself. I think it depends on what I'm in the mood for and whether I wish to be fully immersed or whether I wish to learn something new. It is an interesting discussion to have.
The line between the player and the characters, where you are actively participating in the story and you become one of the characters through controlling them. What made me think of this is I literally just completed Undertale a couple days ago. By the way, fantastic character writing in that game. But I noticed this same feeling that I get when I finish a longer book when I finish that game, which video games are a medium where you can spend upwards to 20 hours with the characters in the story. Now, I don't know about you, but whenever I finish a longer story in either a 1,000-page book or a book series, it usually evokes a strong emotion. The emotion
I am not a gamer myself, so personally that did not really resonate with me. However, I still do understand his point.
isn't completely negative or is it sentimental, but it's rooted in a psychological truth that the more time we spend with a narrative, the more embedded it becomes in our own internal world. Whether it's a 1,000-page novel or a long format TV series or a sprawling video game, these extended narratives do more than entertain. And there's something about investing time into it. Since time is the key component in the difference of feelings after finishing a story, which is also kind of a crazy thought because time can work differently.
Not necessarily. This is my opinion, right? But sometimes there are characters you read about in just a couple of pages and you identify with them completely. You see yourself within those characters, and through that knowledge alone, you feel as though you've lived their lives already. So you don't necessarily need 300 pages of character development just for a character to resonate with you or for you to feel as though you're living their life. Um, but yeah, that is just my opinion. Let me know whether you think differently in the comment section.
In books, whether through it being nonlinear or using flashbacks. But that's a whole different topic because that explains subjectivity and how different people experience the world, and that's what writing is showing off someone's view of the world. This brings up the idea of the narrative transportation theory, which describes the mental state of being so absorbed in a story that one temporarily loses the awareness of the real world. The longer we remain in this transported state, the harder it becomes to return, and sometimes it doesn't snap back immediately.
Once again, perhaps because my attention span has shortened over the years, or simply because I've read so much. Sometimes even reading 30 pages from a story helps me identify with a character or with the point the author is trying to make quite well. I don't really need to spend hours or days or weeks reading a story to completely identify with it, to feel as though I am living in that world, as though I am immersed within that world. Perhaps because I have a bit of an advanced imagination, maybe others do not feel the same way when it comes to immersing themselves within different mediums.
And ultimately a different emotional register. This is why finishing a longer novel leaves us in a fog of emotional residue. Contrast this with reading about a 200-page story or watching a film. These forms of storytelling can feel a bit more abrupt. Even though they feel satisfying, there's less time for attachment, less emotional momentum. Also, they are usually designed to evoke a specific feeling, leaving an echo that isn't the same in the mind.
This is a good counter argument to what I am saying. As a matter of fact, it's true that the more time you spend reading about the world, once you are done with that world, you will miss it even more, simply because you've read so much more about it, you've spent more time. Um, But once again, it really depends on you as an individual. It's not something general. A couple of pages might be able to change somebody's life, um, and a 1,000-paged book might not. So, even though this is a good argument, at the end of the day, I feel as though it has to do with being a reader or a gamer or a even a music listener on an individual level.
So, in short, longer stories become intertwined with us as we go through our day and unravel over a longer period of time. Where a shorter story is abrupt and can be consumed in one sitting, it is seen more as a hiccup rather than going alongside of us. Longer stories are accompanying us. Not to go too deep, but I kind of feel like this is what I like most about my reading vlogs. You get to see me experience the story along with my everyday routine. It's kind of like an old song that you really liked and you remember exactly what you were doing when you first experienced it.
To be fair, I have read several short stories, and for instance, The Great Automatic Grammatizator by Roald Dahl only has a couple of pages, maybe 40, 50 pages at most, right? And that one has resonated with me so much, I still think about it on a daily basis. Whereas other books, for instance, Harry Potter or Game of Thrones or The Wheel of Time or anything by Brandon Sanderson, really, or Stephen King for that matter, they do not resonate with me as much. I do not feel as though I am missing those worlds, even though I do love them and the characters residing within them. But they don't provoke my thoughts as much as certain short stories I've read. So, as far as length goes, I'm not quite sure as to whether or not I agree with this guy when it comes to missing the characters more or feeling more immersed. So, yeah, that is my counter argument to what he is saying.
And basically what you were doing at that time in your life. It's also the idea of parasocial bonds, which are often brought up when talking about celebrities, but I think it's also applicable to characters in books. They are basically just one-sided relationships where an individual develops a strong sense of connection or familiarity with that person or character. The thing with books and stories is they end. So once there is an absence of a character, it can create something similar to grief or sadness because they're gone. I also
Sometimes characters aren't everything either, as I've been saying. I mean, sometimes it has to do with the message the author is trying to convey through the narrative itself. I mean, the general idea of the story, um, how it can be applied to society, whether it has any political connotations, um, what it says about the author's life as well, how autobiographical it may be, regardless of it being marked as fiction. There are many ways of looking into this sort of ideology of length and immersion. But I do understand this guy's point as far as storytelling is concerned and how much a person might be able to identify with characters or with a world depending on how much time is spent residing within that world.
feel like there could be an element of when we say we miss a book when it ends, what we're really saying is we miss the version of ourselves that was immersed in this story. The person who lived alongside that narrative, that saw the world with each turn of a page.
So, yeah, I do think that this guy made quite a lot of good points. Those were my own thoughts with regard to this topic of why you are missing out not reading 800 plus page books. Of course, let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. I would be very interested in listening to your thoughts. Um, I do reply to every single comment, by the way, so if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, share, subscribe. Take a look at the rest of my content, because why not? It's absolutely amazing. And I will see you in the next one, hopefully very, very soon. Bye, guys.